Yo, 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 welcome to the Create With Us podcast, our first ever episode, the pilot episode. Guys, you excited? We're pumped.
Woo!
I can tell you guys are pumped. Try not to
Freaking out.
Go over there. Well,
It's
welcome
my first
in.
time on live television.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll do it live. We're going to have Sting play us out later on. Welcome to the podcast. We are so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining. This is our first ever podcast. This is the pilot episode. So what we want to do today is tell you a little bit about what to expect. But before I jump into that, I want to introduce you to my friends here. Let's kick it off with Jeff Venn. He is our head honcho over at Create Web Studios. Jeff, what's going on today, buddy?
Just having a great day. We're excited to bring all our knowledge and our resources in the world of marketing and entrepreneurship, and also the fun vibe we have. So bringing that live, connecting the people we work with, the marketing strategies we use to grow businesses, and powerful stories of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. And we're really excited to get into it. Jeff, as I mentioned, is our head guy at Create Web Studios, our digital marketing agency here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm a part of that team as well. And also my friend here, Stephanie Giera. Stephanie, say what's up.
Hey guys, creative director at Create Studios. I'm also just like happy to be here and excited for the show.
Me too. I'm so excited to get started. We've been talking about this for the longest time. This is going to be a blast. We're so stoked. We're going to have all kinds of awesome stuff moving forward. We're going to have great guests. We're going to have insight for you covering all kinds of stuff from behind the screen. So let's talk a little bit more about what to expect. Let's learn a little bit more about our hosts here. Jeff, as I mentioned, we're going to have all kinds of strategies to grow businesses and influence using power of marketing, power of entrepreneurship. It's something that you know a little bit about. So let's start with you and get to know you a little bit better before we get to that. So Jeff, let's kick it off. What's your professional expertise? Let's start there. What would you say your expert area is?
Sure. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also a mentor to millennial entrepreneurs. And I've been in this world of websites and digital marketing since I went to school way back when. So did a computer science degree, minored in graphic design, pretty flaming creative musician. Another thing I did was learn Spanish just for fun in my college years. And so I'm bringing all that to the table, and Create Studios, our agency, today has been going since 2005. We're here in 2021. So yeah, I'm all about growth, marketing, storytelling, and we get to use, I love technology, a lot of the latest technology, and here we are in video and a podcast, dream come true.
That's right, man. That's right. Isn't that crazy? 16 years, Create Web Studios is old enough to drive. So you've been through a lot, man. You really have.
I should do a business license marketing campaign this year.
I know, right?
Yeah, no our experience, something, yeah, and it's like a little license.
Exactly. So Steph, tell us about your professional expertise.
Sure. So I have been in marketing since I was a teenager, and I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am, but you can say it's like 30 plus. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost 15 years for myself that I've been involved in marketing, either on a strategy level, graphic design, and interning. I've always been a creative person, but I really found my strength over the last 5 to 10 years has been working on execution and strategy. Like, what should we do first with whatever budget we have? And how do we put our best foot forward as far as the branding? So I've really been able to exercise that expertise at Create, but I've also, been able to do it for my entire life. It's been really interesting that it's just a common thread: branding, marketing strategy. How do we look the best we can?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. That's good stuff, and it's a lot of fun to work with both you guys. Both you guys are incredible people, and just bright people they're always thinking forward, and I it's great company. So while we're talking about that, let's get into superpowers. If we were superheroes, as far as work is concerned. So Jeff, tell us about what your work superpower would be. Oh, sorry, Jeff. I think we got you muted, bud.
Yeah. So I'm in a leadership role right now. So a lot of what I do is based on the history of Create Studios since 2005. So I have a lot of relationships with business owners. I'd say about 60% of our customers are, established business owners of all different kinds. So connecting with people, connecting with our team members is a superpower of mine. I'm a pretty creative person, but Stephanie, she's been carrying the creative weight at the agency here over the last year or so. So I've been able to just really focus on people and connecting with people and, developing and forging those relationships. And many of those people are going to be guests on our show and are accomplished entrepreneurs themselves. And like, say, public relations, or one of our really good friends runs an amazing digital ad company and helps us with our digital ads. So yeah, my superpower that I bring to the work table is relationships and then leadership. I think you guys, from what I can tell, like we have a really good clutch boutique team. There's, around 10 of us, depending on how you balance it out and count subcontractors. And the vibe's really good and special. And generally, as you guys can attest to, we all really like working together, which is super important in closing because you spend so much time with the people that you work with. It's nice not to loathe that aspect of Mondays of who you're going to talk to and spend time with and do projects with. So yeah, I'm all about people, leadership, and, growing our network at this point.
Yeah, man. And that goes right into what we're looking to accomplish here with the podcast. We're, the thing that we've kind of been talking about is we're not looking to compete. We're looking to collaborate. There's enough competition out there. There's enough people out there that are trying to get you. You're safe here. We're looking to work with you. You know what I mean? So there's so many talented people in our industry, and this is just a really good opportunity to meet them and learn more about them. So Steph, why don't you tell us about your work superpower?
Yeah. So when I was prepping for this and I was like looking at some of Jeff's notes, like, okay, superpower, like there's definitely some overlap in the creativity and like the leadership side of things. But I think what maybe is a little bit more unique aside from that would be what I'm calling strategy, but it's also like having like an ear for listening. A lot of people have ideas about maybe what they want, but they don't know how to articulate it. So just like knowing through like a casual conversation, or even more maybe a strategic conversation, like a discovery with a client, I feel like I can pick up the vibe of like what they're going for. They have fear because of this, or they want to make this happen because of, something that might have happened in the past, or, in most cases, like our clients, they get hurt or burned. So I feel like maybe my superpower might be empathy in like the workplace, like in the strategy and in business.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And, I think that's something, it's funny you say empathy. That's something that really comes into play. Like, I think a lot of the times, not only in what we do and in our business, but also in personal life, that's a very valuable superpower to have. So let's step off the work thing for a minute. Let's get into personal stuff. Let's have some fun. Jeff, you mentioned that you're a killer guitar player, man, and you really are. I've seen this guy serenade before, and he can do it. He can get it done. And I didn't know, on a side note, that you spoke fluent Spanish before until you just randomly busted it out, and I was like, no way! What a great party trick. So let's talk about other things that you're into. What's one hobby that you're into in your personal life that you like to do when you're not working?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go with something that's kind of a now thing. I've been fortunate enough, and our offices are based here out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I've been fortunate enough to grow up nearly all my life since I was a tiny little tyke in walking distance from the beach. So I've surfed hardcore all my life. I've got into stand-up paddleboarding and actually surfing on the stand-up paddleboards. Yesterday during my lunch break, I jogged on the low tide beach, and it was winter here and the beach was quite empty, but it was sunny and it was low tide and the sandbar was there. So I really like the energy of the ocean and the beach lifestyle. And it's just something that grounds you. Last example there, last week we had a full moon, and many times during this time of the year, the full moon will rise over the ocean horizon. And this was right before dark. So it was daylight. It was about an hour before sunset. In the background over the horizon of the ocean was this beautiful slate gray. There was no wind, and this glowing moon rose really big. As it gets higher, it gets smaller and smaller. So I always get the nature hit. Hope to catch a little sunset today, and then I'm down there jogging, surfing, swimming, doing whatever.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's a great way to, like, there's no better feeling than getting in the ocean water just for a few minutes. You could just feel like all the stress kind of wash away. So I definitely know what you mean there. Steph, Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you like to do in your spare time?
Yeah, so I think when we were talking with the team about like hobbies this year, I feel like it's a prerequisite for everyone on our team to like love nature. If you don't love nature, we don't want you, which is kind of fun. But aside from like the nature hits, because I freaking love being outdoors and being in the water and being near water. I like to exercise a little bit more of like my creativity. So I do art making. I write about art, and I also curate a little bit on the side. So I'm bringing other people's work together and to produce a show. So that's definitely my biggest hobby, and like the reason I get up and go to work every day is so I get to be creative.
Love it. Love it. So now that you guys know a little bit more about us, let's get down to the nitty grit. Let's start talking some business. Let's get into it. 2020 was a crazy year for everybody. We don't have to get into that. We all know what happened. A lot of businesses, some were able to sustain and persevere and get through, while unfortunately others weren't so lucky. So let's talk about the past year and what we learned in 2020 as far as marketing goes. So biggest marketing lesson in 2020. Jeff, why don't you kick us off with that? What did you learn in 2020 that you're going to apply moving forward?
Yeah, so this is interesting. We've really been working on marketing for ourselves, for our own digital marketing agency, no pun intended. And I learned that marketing is not, a lot of times when customers sign up with us or when we start a new campaign, we expect these massive results. And it's a really crowded space out there. And there's not just one means that's going to specifically grow your company. For example, we were pretty hype on doing paid ads for ourselves. So, we're here in Jacksonville. So we launched a paid ad campaign for keywords like web design Jacksonville and things like that. And we learned that keyword's way too broad. Web design is commoditized these days. You got everything from doing it yourself on like GoDaddy or Wix onto, there's, multi-million-dollar websites. Like how much do you think CNN cost as a website? So that example, that avenue didn't work for us. The cost per click was too high, and we tried and we optimized it and got it in. So that was one of the main lessons that I learned. Not so much that paid ads don't work for web design Jacksonville. We kind of knew as much as that, but just that, you don't launch a campaign and get massive results. It's really the drop in the bucket. So when you're active out on social media, when you have retargeting ads going on, so when someone hits your site still comes up. When you do something like this, a podcast, when you go to networking conferences, all these drops in the bucket add up. All these places online where people can find you on your Facebook, on your Instagram, Googling when your business name comes up, down to your website. Your website's almost the cornerstone. All these pieces come together at play. And the last thing I'll say is, a lot of people are much more comfortable going digital these days. They're much more comfortable on a Zoom meeting. So the more you can polish up all those channels and just collect all those drops in the bucket, that's really where you'll have success. So, yep. No one trick pony. Like you get a home run or a whale every now and then with things, but to expect that out of the gate, not so much. All the drips in the bucket add up. So that's what I learned in 2020 with marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. And I think something you mentioned there about keywords being too general and need to be more specific. That's a great tip. And this is the kind of insight, these are the kind of tips you're going to be hearing from us moving forward. So good stuff there. Steph, a lot of businesses ended up actually thriving, with the working at home. And Lord knows we've all heard, can you see my screen a million times in the past year? So everyone's very experienced with Zoom at this point. Everyone knows what's going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what kind of businesses were able to survive a year like that and what kind of businesses weren't so lucky?
Yeah, I think it was important what you said, Jeff, about like the ability to like stop and shift to a virtual world, a virtual service, a virtual customer service. And so the people that, or the industries that were able to do that quickly, were able to capitalize a little bit on like the fact that everybody was at home during quarantine, that they still needed all of their services provided. And we saw a lot of industries like really thrive. And so medical was one of those, which makes a lot of sense because of the illness throughout the year. And then also folks were trying to bolster their health. right? So even these smaller companies that maybe aren't directly related to like going to the hospital, but vitamins, that's a really great example of an industry
Mhm.
that just went boom,
Mhm.
because people really want to keep their baseline health like good. So if and with they got sick, then
Mhm.
there would be a level of being able to come out of it well because you had a great immune system. So we saw that. Some other industries that were, I guess, kind of expected, but we didn't expect it like right out of the gate was finance. So all the finance industries seem to be do really well, and I think because people were securing their assets, not knowing the impact that COVID would have on the economy. And so there was, banks were doing really well. Money managers were shifting things around for people. People were taking their assets, liquidating them, and putting them into stocks. Stocks. It's like a year for stocks, isn't it? And then we were noticing some huge shifts in different markets. So, like luxury markets were doing really well, but the middle markets weren't doing so well. So, a great example of a middle market maybe that isn't doing well would be the food industries. Those, and unless they were able to shift very quickly to providing like a carry out during quarantine, they all had to catch up. So the DoorDash did great,
Mhm.
but some of these other restaurants had to be on hold for a while until, and still on hold. There's some restaurants in some areas of like New York City and Chicago that they're only doing carry out. So it's really interesting just to see the impact in certain industries, and then some others were completely annihilated.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. And as you mentioned, we're not even out of the woods yet. You know what I mean? This is something that's still going on, and businesses are having to adapt. People are having to adapt. So I think, this past year, obviously there was a lot to learn from and apply moving forward. And hopefully, throughout this next year, throughout 2021, it goes a little bit differently for everybody. So thanks for getting into that with me, guys. Good stuff there. I want to go back and talk a little bit more. Let's go more in depth on what everyone can expect from the podcast. I'm going to start off with Steph this time. I'm going to switch it up.
Yeah.
We're ready for that curveball.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So Steph, I mentioned a little bit about building a community. We're not here to compete. We're here to collaborate. Why don't you take us a little bit more into that and tell us your side of that?
Sure. So 2020 is a great example of that. But I think since like the onset of Create Studios, we've always had a huge network of partners, different creatives, different strategists, people that were experts in certain industries. Like our writers are a great example. We have writers for any industry you can think of. You got medical, we have writers in medical. And so building a community of those people was really important to us for 2020. One, so we could provide more value to our partners, but also to our clients. Each one of us has a group of clients that we serve. And so collaborating makes the most sense in any industry. There's really enough business to go around, and everybody's always willing to give you something, and then we can share resources. So it made sense for this year to really bring all those experts under one like moniker, and that's our podcast, so that we get to talk with them more and like hear about their experiences, talk more about their clients and what they've seen, and really build and bolster business in Jacksonville.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'm most excited about is we know so many badasses in this industry. We really do. And we can't wait to give them a little spotlight here and tell our friends about them. So Jeff, on that note, why don't you tell us about some of the kind of guests we can expect, some of the kind of tips we can expect moving forward, starting next week on the show.
Sure. So not only is it in Jacksonville for sure, but beyond. So I'd say about half of the customers we work with for our website and digital marketing work are here in town, but we have them in California, way up north in New York and other places. So what kind of people can you expect? Well, we have a wide, and I call them a sister or like cousin industries, a wide range of other types of companies we work with. For example, IT was big this year. So if you're running a business and you're trying to run it remotely, and you're choking up and having to hit the mute button. If you're working remotely, you want to make sure your company data is secured, that you have chat, that you have real-time availability, that you can track time of your employees. So Bobby Giera owns Axiom IT, and he's been a long time friend of ours. We send him business. He sends us business. So that's an example. We work with quite a few PR agency type people. So a lot of times in COVID, the messaging that you needed to use in PR, things like that. And then lastly, we love paid ads to generate leads for our customers. And we have one of the top paid ad guys that we've ever worked with happens to have an agency here in Jacksonville. And so he's forever full of great tips. So these are some of the examples of the kind of people you can expect. Last one is this. Things have moved online, right? So before you go to a trade show, you'd speak on a stage. Well, one of our real good friends, Steve Warner, does webinars for businesses. So these webinars would guide buyers through an online journey to, engage a company versus how it may have been offline in the past. So all these things are really relevant to what's going on today. And a lot of these people we actually use with our customers because we focus on websites, the digital marketing. And so it's nice to have all these other voices and resources come in.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And next week we'll be starting that. We'll be starting to have some guests in, and we cannot wait to introduce you guys to them and learn more about what they're doing and give you some tips and insight at home from another perspective. So on that note, that's it for the pilot episode. We're so excited to get started. Are you guys pumped? Steph and Jeff, are you guys pumped for next week?
Yes, it was so fun. This was awesome.
So thank you guys at home for joining us today. Thank you so much for checking out the pilot episode. We will see you next week with a guest. We're really pumped. Again, don't forget about us. We'll be here. Don't compete, collaborate. Come on in and let's create. We're excited about it. We're so pumped. We're gonna have a great time together. So thank you all at home for checking us out today. It will be on YouTube, Facebook stream moving forward as we are today. And as we continue to go, hopefully expand on some more platforms. So we'll keep you updated there. Keep an eye on our page, Create Web Studios on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're all over the place. Keep an eye out as we announce the guests that we will have on next week, and we will see you then. Any last words, guys?
Have a great day. Peace out.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Get out and enjoy that weather. Jeff, enjoy the ocean tonight. This has been a lot of fun. So thank you guys again for joining us, and we will see you next week on the Create With Us podcast.